Ori Davis, a man who considers himself a Palestinian Hebrew national of Jewish origin, anti-Zionist, and had registered as a Muslim and a citizen of apartheid state, the State of Israel. Nevertheless, he has two citizenship, Israeli and British. Davis was born in 1943, 5 years prior to the establishment of the State of Israel. His parents were Jewish immigrants who migrated to Palestine in 1930. His father came from the UK and his mother from Germany. He was educated by the Israeli schools, which was where he got many of his Zionist ideas from. He barely knew anything about the Palestinians and how they lived their lives. Thus, he started to question, leading him to break away from Zionism. He believed in justice and not revenge. Such case, he thought, was not a revolution, it was a process. These ideas was brought up by his family, because they have always wanted peace. His mother's family was killed in the Holocaust during World War II, so she was raised according to the idea of justice and not revenge, while his father adapted Gandhi's thoughts and ideas, applied them in raising his kids.
Be aware that in 1939 the Second World War broke out in Europe, and Czechoslovakia came under Nazi occupation. And all of my mother's family, her sister, her husband, their children, were taken by the Nazi occupation and transported to Auschwitz and assassinated in Auschwitz. And it's the heroism and the greatness of my mother in the first instance, and my father together with my mother, to educate us on the principle of rejection any sentence that begins with a generalization. I don't want to hear, said my mother, that the Germans killed my family in Czechoslovakia. The Germans did not kill my family. The Nazis killed my family. And not all Nazis killed my family. A specific group of Nazis killed my family, and maybe not a specific group of family killed my family, but a Nazi individual killed my family. There are good Germans and bad Germans, good Jews and bad Jews, good Arabs and bad Arabs, good Britons and bad Britons. Don't generalize. And alongside with this normative orientation, it was absolutely clear that my parents, and specifically my mother, sought justice, not revenge.
Thus, he refused to join the Israeli army. Yuri has been a member of Fatah for 35 years.
The organizations resisting Zionism politically inside Israel have been largely two in the years that I refused military service. The Israeli Communist Party, and in the early 60s, a group that broke away from the Israeli Communist Party, the socialist organization in Israel known better by the name of its publication Matzpen Campus. And in terms of critique of Zionism, rejection of values of apartheid and racism, I found myself very much in agreement with the political position of both the Communist Party and Matzpen. There was one hesitation. Matzpen included a range of ideological position, Marxist-Leninist, Trotskyists, etc. Communist Party is Marxist-Leninist, and the hesitation was that I was really never convinced until today. I am not convinced of the correctness of the Marxist fundamental statement about human nature, namely that material interests regulate normative decisions. And the reason that I hesitated adhering to that position is because my individual experience is actually contrary. And this is something I cannot properly explain because I don't have an explanation. But I believe that my strategic moral positions were dictated not by my material interests, but by the voice of my conscience. Why the voice of my conscience is more emphatic than the voice of conscience of many people around me, I just do not know. I don't have an answer to that. But it seems to be a fact of consciousness that my voice of conscience is emphatic. and did determine my strategic normative choices and not my material interests. My material interests, had I followed my material interests, I would have followed middle-class Zionist material interests. So I could not in good conscience join a communist organization or a Trotskyist organization or any organization that was Marxist. So the left inside Hebrew society in Israel was Marxist. The left inside Palestinian society outside of Israel, the Populist Front and the Democratic Front, were Marxist. The only political framework that was liberal in the classic sense, international and absolutely humanitarian, was the Fatah.
Where he got his fourth wife, Muyassar Abu Ali, who is a refugee from Malha, who migrated to Jordan, where she was a member of Fatah. Nowadays, a professor at Al-Quds University, where he teaches critical Israeli studies.